I pulled my splitter off. Let me show you how I fixed it, including my first attempt at plastic welding, something I've never done before. As anyone with a lowered 9.3 aero knows, these aero front splitters don't offer much in the way of ground clearance. With the Mapton springs I've got on this, about 110mm here, and somehow, when I was in a car park the other day, it got hooked onto a curb, which I had to reverse away from. I suspect it got pushed by somebody who might have bumped it at the rear, because otherwise I'd have heard the scraping when I went into the space forwards, wouldn't I? But anyway up, it ripped it off both sides and the under tray. It ripped off several fixing points from both the splitter and the under tray. It also split the under tray in a couple of places. So let me show you how I fixed those up with my first attempt at plastic welding. Like I say, something I've never done before. Done plenty of metal welding, but never any plastic welding, and how I restored the fixing points to the splitter. Now, I have already shown you how to get the splitters on and off the car. I'll link to that video in the description, and I'll also show you how these under trays go on. I'm going to take the opportunity too to put a completely new set of fixings on. And just in case you're wondering, this is the pipe work that leads to the headlamp washers, and this harness is for the temperature sensor, which is situated in the middle here, and the fog lights. And this connector here is for the washers. The tag on the left hand end of the splitter that holds the splitter to the wheel arch liner was damaged beyond being able to hold the splitter into place. So I sacrificed a storage box lid made of polyprop PP, used a piece of paper to develop the shape I needed for a replacement tag, and cut it out of the box lid. Then I used M5 riv nuts and dome head screws to hold it into place. Drilled a 6mm hole in the new piece and fitted a new spire nut and screw. The under tray gained a number of splits, but worst of all, this fixing point got ripped off completely and there was a major split here. My first attempt at plastic welding was to repair this big crack, and as you can see, I made a right old dog's dinner of it. That's because I made the mistake of using the open flame of my gas torch to do the welding, which was far too hot. Luckily, it's not a visual part. Then I realised that my gas torch can actually be used as a hot air blower. So I cut some thin strips of material from my sacrificed box lid, and it became much more like normal metal welding, where you're melting extra material into the crack. And that enabled me to weld on the broken fixing much more successfully. The under tray is fixed into place with several spire nuts and self-tapping screws. There are also two tabs at the rear edge, which are an assembly aid. As a result of their location, the fixings go very rusty very quickly. I found some suitable replacements. I'll put a link to them in the description. For the fixing where the left-hand side meets the left-hand wheel arch liner, I cut a piece out of the edge of the box where it already had a folded over edge and welded it into place to make a tab, and then added a spire nut and screw. By the way, this is the bottom of the washer fluid bottle, and this is the tab the under tray slots onto. Slot the under tray onto the tabs and then lift into position whilst making sure that you're not going to trap the harness or the hoses. Put a self-tapping screw through the holes and push the tray further up and put the screws into the spire nuts and tighten with an 8mm socket. When you're attaching the under tray to the wheel arch liner, there's a locating rib on the liner that you might have to remove if you've needed to make a repair to the attachment point. I've already done a video showing you how to remove and refit the splitter from the bumper. I'll link to that in the description. If you got value from this video, consider supporting the channel in some way, and I shall see you on the next one.